It's Block Lounge Entertainment, and the time is right with T-Pre.
You know, a lot of us ladies have spent a great deal of time in this sector addressing Stargate with a lot of the BS that she claims that we have, quote unquote, put her through, right? And I'm just kind of tired of addressing that. There's been so many times where I have had multiple conversations with Stargate in regards to things that she claims that women are doing to her, or things that she claims I've done to her, and so forth and so on. I got a little time tonight because I'm actually up doing some things on the side. So, and then I can get to sleep all morning. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and address every single thing that I was going to say to her when she was on Breaking the Culture of Silence's show today. Shout out to Breaking. She had a show tonight where she was addressing some things that she's feeling, and she allowed Stargate on the panel as a special guest. So what I did was I listened in. I knew that Breaking was having a show. I did talk to Breaking earlier today, and I talked to her a couple times last week as well. So either way, we are good from what I know. But here's the thing. There was a lot of stuff that was said on the panel that I didn't get to address with Breaking. I will address that with her privately. But as far as Stargate, since I don't talk to her privately, then I'm going to go ahead and address Stargate here. Okay. So one of the things that, like we've been talking about here in the sector lately, is that people are being told that they need to police what other people are saying. They need to police what other people are doing, right? And one of the things that I said to Star and to Breaking, which I hope help both of them understand, is that everybody in this sector is grown, okay? People can say what they want to say on their panel. They can do what they want to do on their panel. And nobody in the sector has control over what someone else says, okay? Particularly if you're in their chat room or even if you're on their panel, okay? And if it had been so that everybody was doing that, then you would find yourself correcting everybody across the sector all day long, okay? Like you would literally find yourself doing that all the time, and nobody has time for that. Secondly, I think it's a running idea in the sector that everybody knows what everybody has always said, right? Like somehow if you're in the chat with them or if you're there, then you automatically know what they said. You know, or even if you're not in the chat, if you just happen to be like a moderator in that chat, or if you happen to frequent that chat often, it's just automatically assumed that you know every single thing that that person has done or said, right? And then somehow you are supposed to go back and go around correcting everybody if they say something bad about you or if they say something disrespectful about you. And I gave Breaking and Stargate a prime example of that because both of them in the show kind of accused me of such, okay? Where Breaking did do that behind the scenes, where she had fell out with me because she thought I should have corrected Alan Logic on him, saying that Breaking the Culture is putting her on that scale and saying that Breaking's not a black woman. I don't have control over what Alan Logic says. I don't have control over what Alan Logic does. If he feels like you're not a black woman, who the hell am I to go jumping down Alan's throat and telling Alan what he needs to say and what he needs to do? That's not my place, right? Just like it wouldn't be Breaking the Culture's place, as I told her when she mentioned that to me. It would not be her place to run around telling anti-Afro Svengali and telling Rev G that they're wrong every single time they say something about me, right? Am I wrong? It's not her responsibility to correct them with everything that they do. She hasn't even been in the sector long enough to even know half of the backstory for her to run around and correct anybody, whether she's my friend or not. And I also told her I think it's quite shallow to feel that way, right? Because I don't address my friendships with people I truly have and people that are truly my friends around here. I don't address them based off of what chat rooms they're in. I don't address them based off of who else they like or what other content creators they support, even if I don't support them. Big example. Dr. Nikki and I are pretty cool. I think everybody knows that's my dog, right? Dr. Nikki is not going to have a problem with me coming up on Breakin's panel tonight, even though she don't fuck with Breakin. Why? Because Dr. Nikki and our friendship is solid. It doesn't matter who doesn't like her and is around me. You understand what I'm saying? She knows that the relationship I have with her is solid enough where she doesn't feel like I would do something to her simply because I'm in somebody's chat or I'm on somebody's panel. That is maturity, right? That's wisdom when you get to that level, because you can't fight every single battle out here. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you can't go to war over every single thing, right? And sometimes when you go to war, you want to go to war, you just might be wrong about what you're thinking. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of things that happen with the Shout into the Void, I honestly found out tonight through Breaking Show. I had no idea that she felt like I might be responsible for some of the things, although I could see how she would feel that way, right? And so now I'm going to give full context of that, because that is what happened. We stopped recording on A Shout into the Void because of all the stuff that was happening behind the scenes to Breaking the Culture, okay? All the CPS calling and all the packages being delivered to her house, okay, after I left her house. I happen to have been the only person that knew her address, right? And this is why I was saying what I'm saying about AAS. I happen to have been the only person that knew her address. I would never dox this woman, okay? I would never do anything like that, especially knowing that, I've met her children, I've been around her family. But I've never had the opportunity to tell Breaking that. This is something that she told y'all, right? I never had the opportunity to tell Breaking the Culture of Silence that I'm not responsible for whatever you think is going on, or whatever is going on. I don't have anything to do with that. As a matter of fact, I actually said that to her. And I told her, why have we stopped recording because of what someone else is doing? Are we really going to allow what someone else is doing stop what we're doing? See, that's the real thing that happened, right? She knows that. But I never got anything about all this, you're concerned about, recording with me. I never got that information from you, Breaking, honestly. And I asked you multiple times. You always told me everything is cool. You just had to get through whatever you were going through. And then, eventually we would get back to it. But we never got back to it, right? I never got any straight answers from you about what was happening, right? Like, let's be honest. I asked you about the images that you brought up tonight, and I'm glad you did, because I never told anybody about that, right? But we did do a photo shoot, and I never got those photos. I never got a single image. And I asked you about that multiple times. Your answer to me over a period of months, until I finally stopped asking somewhere around August, was he never sent them to you. That was what you said. I got that in text, emails, everything. You've told me that multiple times. Not once did you ever say, I'm holding on to your pictures because I think you are responsible for this, and I don't know what's going on. You never had that conversation with me until tonight while I was in your chat room. So I wanted to clear that up. I haven't talked bad about you in these streets to anybody, Breaking. I really haven't. What I will say is this. I've heard a lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff. I've gotten a lot of opinions thrown at me about you. Some of those opinions I fought on about you. Some of those opinions I took in, I listened to, I had to like let it sink in. I had to figure out what was what, and I had to get back to you on it. But not one time did I ever get out in these YouTube streets and out you to anybody. I've never disrespected you to anybody. I never talked bad about you to anybody or any of that. So I'm not really sure where that energy came from. And I would appreciate it if you give me a call tomorrow and tell me. Because again, the first time I ever heard about what happened with those photos or any of that was literally 40 minutes ago. And I've been asking you about it since we did the photo shoot in May. So I'll let you address that later. There was a part of the video, I wrote a lot of stuff down because I did have a behind the scenes conversation with Breakin in regards to Stargate calling the women in the sector black bitches. What I told Breakin was, because Breakin basically was saying that she didn't see anything wrong with what Stargate was saying, okay, because the women in the sector have race attacked Breaking the Culture. And I told her, well, what women in the sector are doing that? And she mentioned Carrie Ann, okay? She mentioned what Carrie Ann said about her skin tone and about that and everything. And I said to her, and I've said this, and I said this tonight in the panel too, or I said it in the chat. What the hell does Carrie Ann have to do with every single woman in the sector? There are hundreds of women in this sector, okay? There are women that come back and forth between the panels. They go back and forth in the chats. And they've said things to Stargate from just simply the chat, not even got on the panel, tried to give her advice and so forth. And the first thing Star does is attack women. She comes out from the rip calling us you black, stupid, black, dumb bitches and all this stuff. I explained that to Breaking the Culture, and I explained how long that had been going on. And everybody else in the sector can vouch for this. The thing about what happened with Breakin is new to the sector. She is not aware of all the backstories, how long this has been going on, how many times we've had these conversations with Stargate, how many times we've tried to talk to Stargate, how many times we've been on various panels trying to work this out over the past couple of years. But Stargate does to every single woman in this sector exactly what she did to me tonight on your show. And unfortunately, I'm kind of glad, fortunately, really, I'm kind of glad you allowed her to just talk over me like you did. You muted me and didn't really mute her, and then you allowed her to just keep talking over me and keep spewing all this nonsense at me. And I call it nonsense because, again, as I told you privately, respectfully privately, I told you, we have been through a lot of fuck shit with this woman, a lot. There are women in this sector who have never had any type of argument with Stargate, never disrespected Stargate. And it's not just the women, it's men too. I told you all of this. In light of me telling you all of that, you still asked her and then spoke for her on what she meant in saying and addressing us as black bitches, right? But little did you know that it wasn't just the women, as you know, as she mentioned. It wasn't just Carrie Ann. It wasn't just Nikki. It was every woman in the sector, from Keeper to Money to Burn, to Glorion, to QT1, to me, to even down to Carla Martin, of people who aren't even content creators. I told you all of that stuff, Breaking the Culture. All of that. I was honest with you about that. It's up to you whether you want to, believe things or not. But I said that to you out of courtesy because I wanted you to know how many of these quote unquote black bitches that Stargate is talking about that actually support you as a content creator. And while you're caping for her with this black bitches thing, the only thing that the women who are hearing you say that can think is that you're speaking about them as well. They don't know that you have this running, ongoing whether it's one or two-sided beef with Nikki. They don't care or know. All they know is that they have heard this statement from this woman, and that she has given that statement to every woman in the sector. It's not just Carrie Ann and Nikki and Eyes. It's every woman. No woman deserves to be race baited. No woman deserves to be treated with disrespect in regards to their skin tone, in regards to none of that. I don't care who you are. But again, this is a prime example of the women in the sector do not have control over what Carrie Ann says about you. And we don't wish to. The women in the sector do not have control over what another woman may or may not have said about you, because I don't know. We don't. And that's just that. Just like you don't have control over what your friends over there do. You don't have control over this white supremacist bitch, anti-Afro. You don't have control over what Rev G says. And you don't have to try to. And neither do I. See, that's what I said to you. And we can pull it up because that was the conversation. And then I told you too, me and Alan aren't friends offline. I don't talk to Alan outside of YouTube. So why do I need to go around policing whatever Alan feels and whatever Alan says? Because the only thing you wanted to fall out with me over is the fact that I did not stand up in Alan's chat and tell him he was wrong for saying what he said about you. Just like I don't go to Nikki's chat and tell her she's wrong for whatever she's saying about somebody. Or I don't go to Josephine's chat and tell her she's wrong for whatever she's saying about somebody. Or I'm not going to go to your chat and tell you how wrong you are for what you feel or what you're saying. I'm going to need every single woman and man in this sector to stop putting these women and men in this box. Like we have to come out swinging and protecting everybody out here, because we don't. It is not my job to do that. It's not my responsibility to do that. And again, I'm going to say this again, Stargate. The women in the sector do not run in a group. We are individual people. Each and every one of us have our own thought processes. We do our own thing. And we don't have to run around behind each other and have the same thoughts and feelings. So every woman in the sector is not grouped together attacking you. That is in your mind. And there's not a goddamn thing I can do to fix that. And what I'm not going to do is keep getting on panel after panel after panel, explaining over and over again the same things over and over again. Because like I said, in the last time we talked on Tiff P's panel, right? Last time we had this conversation, you literally told me, I don't believe that you're sorry for how you feel. So I said, okay. And I moved on. And you're still asking me today the same thing over and over and over again. These are things that Breaking the Culture of Silence has not been aware of. She has not been present for these types of conversations that we've had to have with Stargate over and over again. So that is why I said something to you, Breaking, in regards to the black bitches. I never said to you, and as I told you in these text messages, I never said to you, you need to address Stargate over what she said about these black bitches. What I said is, why are you telling Stargate she's correct when you're not even aware of the backstory? That is what I said. And you jumped out the window and said, well, why didn't you tell Alan he's wrong for what he did to me? And I was like, what are you talking about? And you said it again. You didn't understand why I didn't, and you can't understand because I'm coming at you and telling you I want you to address Stargate over this black bitches situation, but why didn't I address Alan? And my answer to you was, I never told you I wanted you to address Stargate over the black bitches. I didn't understand why you were getting in it and saying anything at all. That is what I said. And I don't understand why you feel like I need to go around protecting you in these YouTube streets. That is what I said. So, again, you can call me tomorrow and we can talk about that more if you'd like. There was some other things y'all said. I think I got that part. Yeah, that we're not all grouped together and we don't all have group thinking. And I did address the Stargate that the sector kind of started off as a group thinking kind of, place, a group thinking kind of space. And so everybody assumes that if you're cool with somebody or, if you hang out with somebody in a chat, that means everybody in that chat has a group thought and they all feel the same way. So if there's one woman that's cussing you out, all the women are cussing you out. And nobody's going to sit here and hold that weight and sit here and beg you to believe them. Like, you're either going to fuck with it or you're not, right? There's another thing that Star had said, and like I said, it's really difficult when you've got people like Breakin who is new to the sector and you try to explain to them the past, right? And how some people will try to repaint or rewrite history with the past. So I remember, and some of the OGs in the sector will probably remember this. Y'all remember when Binary and Red were going back and forth over these rap songs, right? They were making these rap videos against each other. So I think Binary made a song called The Mammies or something like that. And it was a bunch of women. He was making reference to mammies and big women, big black women, which wasn't the first time that he had done some race baiting with black women in the sector. He had did this video, and the video had nothing to do with any women in this sector. It was Nay the Great, which was a rapper for Red Pill, okay? Shout out to Nay the Great. Binary was coming at Red Pill over his artist, Nay the Great. And he was calling her a mammy and referencing her with racial tones in that video. Racial slurs in that video. Stargate made it appear like this whole Nay the Great video, right, that Binary did, that all the women in the sector just jumped on his case when really the only reason he did this video is because the black women in the sector were attacking Stargate. And I was like, what? This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying you got people that are rewriting history out here, right? And then telling new people in the sector these lies. And then these new people that come into the sector, they think all these people, all the women in the sector and all these people are attacking these people. And nobody is doing any of this shit. Literally, nobody's doing none of this shit. Stargate just happens to be in bed and in cahoots with a very controversial individual in the sector who has done a lot of race baiting in this sector. She might have gotten a lot of backlash from it? Probably. She probably has. But I'm not responsible for that. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't have any responsibility over that. I don't have any control over what Binary chooses to do, what Stargate chooses to accept, and what other people how other people react to it. I don't have control over that. So what you're not going to do is say, you supported the people who came at Binary over what he did. So what? I have the fucking right to support whoever the fuck I want to. I don't have to not be around and not come around and not speak to this person. Do y'all know how childish that sounds? Like, do y'all know how kid-like that sounds? What the hell are y'all talking about? That's like me telling you, you can't go to somebody's crib, or you not allowed to go to the store, or you not allowed to go get up and go to the bathroom. Like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? That is what I'm talking about the chat police and about the YouTube police. Nobody has to do that. And quite honestly, that whole idea, right? The whole idea of policing people and where they can go and who they can talk to, that shit makes people not want to fuck with this sector. This is exactly why I created a whole nother channel and went to a whole nother sector. Because nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to be, like walking on eggshells with, people that are in your chats together and that are disagreeing with one another and not getting along. And because you don't want to make it seem like you're taking sides, you just try to remain neutral. And when in remaining neutral and not saying nothing, then you got people thinking you're supposed to say something. And it's not my motherfucking beef to say something. When are people going to get that through their head? It is not the responsibility of everybody in the sector to protect everybody's feelings and emotions. It's not. And I don't know how else to explain that. I really don't. But again, that was a conversation that we had, Breaking, that I thought we got to the bottom of. Because as I told you, and I'll read what I said, I'm just going to read it all. I'm just going to go back and read it. You said, my friends would never sit in a chat where I'm being racially attacked, and my friends would never sit and make the sector think I did something bad to them. Instead of calling them and having a convo, our idea of friends is totally different. I wish you well, and that's that. Hold on, I'll read that in a second. Now, the sector can vouch for this. Have I told y'all any that I made Breaking the Culture look bad to y'all? Did I tell y'all that Breaking the Culture did something to me? I don't know what she's talking about in that text, right? And then I said, whatever, child, everything in life is not about you. I wish you well too, boo-boo. And this is after we had the conversation about her yelling at me about not correcting Alan Logic. Then she said, it's not about me, just like it's not always about you, which I don't know where that came from. But then she said, but as my friend, you sat in a chat where a man broke me down as a Black woman and you said nothing. That's not friendship. How is that my fault that this man said something about her? Okay. This, and mind you, the only reason I'm reading this is because she brought it up on her panel. I just find it, this is her again. I just find it funny. You can come at me over Star, but you can't come at Alan with the same energy. You knew for how long people were coming for me and about my family and said nothing. But I'm being policed about Star. It's laughable at best. That's not friendship. And then I said, Breaking the Culture, if I was a shallow person, I would say the same thing about you. AAS and Rev G have talked about me, attempted to dox me, encouraged people to call my job, race attack me, sexualize me. The list goes on. But guess what? It's not your responsibility to police them. Even as my friend, you are not responsible for other people's actions, and neither am I. You can also befriend who the hell you choose. Visit their chat and channels, and so can I. So if that defined our quote unquote friendship to you, then that's not much of a friendship. Then she said, so when it comes to AAS, I actually always defended you, and you know it. So that's invalid as fuck if I've never sat in a chat where you were attacked ever. I never did that to you. I said, child, whatever. You think you're right, so be it. And then she said, it's not about being right. It's about, don't say I sat in a chat where you were attacked and I didn't. And you know I was trying to get you and AAS to not fight. I heavily advocated for you with Anti, and Anti can confirm it. I would always leave the chats where you were the topic. I even said it in your lives and minds. I was definitely a friend to you. And I said, and I don't know if you always defended me because I said, I don't know if you always defended me because I wasn't looking for that. But for some reason, you can't understand that people cannot control other people. Me telling you that Star uses the black bitches against all the women in the sector turned into you blaming me for Alan talking about you. Yet you can say hello to Rev G and all while he talks about me. So please. I said, also, you and Anti are friends. Me and Alan are not. So why do I need to run around policing everyone who talks about you? That's some super insecure shit. That's not my issue. And you don't need protection, just like I don't. And then she said, I never said you were to blame for what Alan said about me. You were listening to respond versus listening to understand. Why would I blame you for what Alan said? Girl, we are clearly communicating well because I'm not blaming you for what Alan or anyone did. I'm also not asking you to police anyone. Do y'all hear the manipulation in this conversation? Because from what I'm hearing, she's telling me I'm wrong for not saying nothing to Alan Logic about him putting her on a race scale. But then she's saying, I'm also not asking you to police anyone. Well, what are you asking me to do? Like at all. But what are you asking me to do if just a couple sentences prior, you were yelling at me and I ended up hanging up on you because you were yelling about me not correcting Alan. So that is policing. I said, okay. I said, but what did you expect me to do? Leave? And then I put a couple laughing emojis. I said, the show wasn't just about you, boo-boo. And she said, okay, and gave me the thumbs up. I said, just like I'm sure Rev G shows aren't just about me. So why are you leaving? That doesn't mean you agree with him. And then I said, girl, and I started laughing. And then I said, and don't forget, you did say I should have told Alan he was wrong. So yes, you want me to go around policing people's chats and content, yet you don't have to do that, right? You're definitely contradicting yourself, but I'm glad you told me how you really feel. And then she said, girl, you had the nerve to come at me over Star's comments and said, as your friend, I should not agree with her, but yet I can't say it was wrong for you to not call Alan out for the same thing, for doing the same thing, the same exact thing to me. Oh, okay. I said, I never told you to call Star out on anything. I said, why are you telling Star she is right about calling us black bitches? I said, that would be like me telling Alan he is right for saying you're not a black woman. I said, so don't twist my words. And then she said, also, I didn't say you should have done anything. Do y'all hear? I want y'all to hear how this conversation went, okay? Because what you said on the panel is not what happened. You said, also, I didn't say you should have done anything. I said, as my friend, which you said you were, why did you not have the same energy when people did it to me? That's all I said. But okay, I agree to disagree. Saying to Alan that you 100% support his content is saying he's right. And then I put a whole bunch of laughing faces. And then I said, I can absolutely support anyone's channel. That doesn't mean I agree with everything they say. I said, please tell me you're not really this shallow. Am I missing something here, y'all, loungers? And then she said, that's totally true. She agreed with me. That's totally true. Either way, it's not that serious to me. But that's the whole conversation. However, yesterday's live was definitely a recap of our convo, to be exact. To be shallow, I'd have to ask you why you did XYZ. However, I didn't. I simply responded to your questions. You didn't like my response, and now I'm shallow. LOL. Okay. I said, again, I didn't know what she was talking about with that. But I said, again, if that's what you think, but no, I did reference our conversation. But I said, but not you. And that was in the beginning. But everyone knew I was talking about DJ Drama because he is the running convo of the sector, not you, hun. She said, okay. I said, so at this point, you seem to be reaching for a reason to dislike me. So that's on you. But child, I haven't done a damn thing to you. I was talking about Star because I thought we had that type of rapport with each other. But okay, either way, the Star situation affects every woman in the sector, light and dark, content creators and chatters. I was asking you to take in consideration when talking about that issue, because take that into consideration when talking about that issue, because she wasn't the only referencing those 3 women you have issues with. That's all I was saying. Never asked you to say anything to Star, but whatever. Feel how you do. And then I guess I don't have to read the rest of this. But the point I'm trying to make is that is how the context of the conversation went with us breaking. So I'm not really sure why you're making it seem like, you fell out with me and we never even got to an understanding of all this. And you fell out with me over this whole race attack situation, quote unquote, and how I am not, correcting grown people in the sector, right? And, you talked about that. And then, Stargate started adding her 2 cents of what I'm not correcting and how I'm not correcting these people. Why is it this running topic that strong Black women like myself with a strong voice, we got to run around mothering everybody around here? I got 6 kids, you understand? And I ain't got to run around behind them. Why the hell am I going to run around behind any of y'all? I don't give a fuck what y'all say. And I just might show up at your panel, even if somebody's talking about you. You understand what I'm saying? I just might show up and might be in their chat room. I just might be. But that doesn't mean that everything that they've said, you should hold me accountable for. That is draining, it's tiresome, and nobody wants to do that. And if you're basing your quote unquote friendship with me off of that, that is not a friendship. It ain't. And I refuse to sit here and do that. Secondly, you need to know breaking the culture. While this Svengali is trying to hand you all this propaganda for you to believe that everybody is against you. I have never said anything bad about you to anybody in this sector. What are you talking about? Because you really don't know what you're talking about. And instead of addressing me with that, why didn't you ask me? Because I would have told you. I just talked to you today. Instead of addressing me, you say that to me on your panel. And I'm shocked. Because the same trolls breaking, like I've been telling you for the longest time, the same trolls that are saying to you, you got kicked out of the void, are telling me the same thing. But I'm not taking it to heart and crumbling over every little thing that everybody says about me and about you. Because they don't know what they're talking about. And me and you know what happened behind the scenes. We are aware of what happened. At least I thought we were, till I found out more tonight. But it's not our responsibility to share with the sector every single detail of what happened with the fucking podcast. It's not. And I'm not going to run around here telling everybody in the sector what happened with the podcast. Did I have a conversation with my members in regards to that? Yes, I did. I feel like I owe my members a conversation about that. But I didn't talk shit about you. So again, where is this narrative that I'm out here putting bad shit out in the sector about you just because you might have seen, again, a couple of chats of people just saying stuff. Oh, you got kicked out the void. You got this. Breaking the culture got kicked. They're doing this stuff to get under your skin. But I know you are not this shallow, sis, that you would just automatically believe a troll just because a troll said it. Because if that's the case, then I can just believe everything that was told to me about you. And I don't. And I've stood up for you. That's the part you don't know. I'm going to read a couple of y'all comments real quick. What's up, Muslim? You said, oh, hey, Muslim. Hey, keeping it plain and Muslim. It's just you guys. Goodness gracious. Keeping it plain, you say, hey. Muslim, you say, hey to him. You said, salute. You said, how you been? You said, Muslim, I am well. I'm just working. You said, Stefan popping shit about T-Pre right now on Breaking's Live. You know he would. You know he messy. You said, Kip, glad to hear that, bro. Keeping it plain. You said, 100. You said, T-Pre, on those grounds, she shouldn't be friends with Rev G at all, respectfully. But see, that's the thing. She's entitled to be friends with whoever she chooses, Muslim. You know what I'm saying? If she wants to be friends with Rev G, that is fine. I've never tried to come between her and her friendships. I honestly have not. I've never tried to do that. So if she wants to be cool and friends with Rev G and everything all on there, that's great. That's wonderful. But at the end of the day, nobody has control over somebody else. And that's just that. And I really need Breaking to understand this. I've been telling you this behind the scenes, and now I'm going to tell you publicly. You are going to have a bunch of motherfuckers coming for you, okay? Coming at you, telling you all kinds of shit, simply because of who you're around. And that's just that. You ain't got to like that answer. You ain't got to like what I'm saying. You ain't got to agree with what I'm saying or anything. But at the end of the day, you came into the sector under the guise of anti-Afro Svengali, or at least it looks like that. And she has been a running enemy of this sector for years. And then you kind of cape for her at many times. And I've told you this. I've told all this stuff I've said. So this is why you may experience some stuff like you do. And the trolls latch on to those things. And they say all kinds of shit. I've had trolls telling me that I got kicked out of the void. I got trolls telling me that I am the one that came up with the idea of the shout into the void, which I never did. That was Breaking's idea. And I told the sector that. And I'll replay the video tomorrow, since Stefan had tried to tell Breaking in her chat that I said it was my idea, and it wasn't. But this is an example of, a prime example of, there are certain and particular people who want a divide. They want a division. I've said this to you. It's up to you. It's your choice. You're going to do whatever you want. But again, if there were issues with me and there was problems with me, you should have told me, because I didn't know. All this stuff you aired out in regards to the photos and what happened with that, regards to your real feelings about what was going on with the CPS situation and how that affected you and how that affected you wanting to actually record because you thought I might have had something to do with it. You never told me that. I never knew that. So I'm shocked, but it is what it is. I'm not going to, lose my brain over it or anything. But I definitely think that you could have addressed that different with me. I think you could have told me, about that. And I don't appreciate that. You said, T-Pre, what Alan said is in no way comparable to what Rev G be saying about you. And I 100% agree with that. Like this is the stuff that Breaking doesn't understand. She hasn't been here long enough to know what we've been through with these people. She has no idea. But it's all good. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing I can do about that. I think clearly this was a divide, like I said in this text message. I told her, I said, at this point, it just seems like you are reaching for a reason to dislike me. Okay? I think, and like I said, it came out of nowhere. It came out of the blue. So I think you're looking for a reason to have a problem with me. So if that's the case, so be it. Like, which you know what I mean? We'll just move on. But then she said she never said she disliked me, and she did. That's a false statement and all this. I'm like, girl, what are you smoking? You know what I'm saying? Because you just said, you gave me a whole wordful, a whole mouthful of how you really feel, because I didn't say something to someone, and I happened to have said hello and gave a couple smiles to people in the chat room. Again, the chat police are, they're screenshotting everything and then using that as propaganda to say, see, they're not really your friend. They really don't fuck with you if they're in this chat room. Like, this shit is crazy. It's nuts. And when the smoke settled and the dust cleared, you admitted that that was fucking nuts. It wasn't like that, according to you. So I'm not understanding why you're doing this now. But yeah, sometimes you got to give context to a story, right? When someone is telling their side of the story, you got to give context to the actual conversation. I don't like to do shit like that. This is why, if there is a problem with somebody, I would rather you come and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Because then we can get an understanding of some shit. Because had you talked to me about this stuff, you would have known a long time ago, and we probably would have got to the bottom of who actually was sending them packages to you and who actually was calling CPS on you. But we never got to the bottom of it because we never got to actually have a full conversation, right? Never got to do that. Because the whole time, it was you allowing your fears to come in the way of the podcast. And then that's what I meant when I said there were some things that weren't coming to fruition. Every time we went to plan to do something with this podcast, it was always something new coming up with CPS. All the time. That is the reason why this happened. But again, that wasn't for me to address the sector with. That wasn't for me to tell all your business and tell everybody what's going on. That wasn't my place. So I patiently waited in the background. I even still continued to play our branding and all that stuff, and until I realized one day that this was not going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen because nothing was moving forward. So I moved on. Neither one of us dropped each other. She didn't drop me, I didn't drop her. We just moved on. At least that's what I thought. But yeah, shocking. He said, T-Pre, maybe she don't want to be your friend no more. I guess that's the way I'm taking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just don't want to be cool. But like I said, that's why I said to her, it just seems like you're looking for a reason to have a problem with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're reaching with all these things I'm supposed to do. And, why would you be so angry at me over what somebody else is saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have control over somebody else. So it looks like at this point, you're just looking for a reason to be mad. So if that's the case, okay, so be it. But then she turned around and said, no, I don't feel that way. I never said I dislike, you know what I'm saying? So which one is it? Which one is it? Because again, I haven't done nothing to you, Breaking. Nothing. You said, just like drama, he was looking for a reason to dox my son and he found a reason. Don't worry. Exactly. Like, sometimes people just don't want to fuck with you. But that's fine. Like, you're welcome to that. But I could have known that, especially like even today. We talked for a couple hours. So I'm not sure, where this is coming in. But again, the moment that you stop letting trolls and people who have a specific interest stop directing the narrative, will be the moment you're free in this sector. That'll be the moment that you roam freely in this sector and you don't give a fuck. But while you're under this grip and you're thinking that everybody is out to get you, it's the same grip that Stargate is under, thinking that everybody in this sector is out to get her, when in actuality, it's just anti-Afro doesn't want any of the women in the sector to get along, especially with Nikki. When you realize that is when you will be free. But right now, you've got all these thoughts and stuff in your mind that isn't there. And again, all you had to do was talk to me. I'm done. It is what it is. I'm not going to keep addressing it. And it just is where it's at. You feel how you feel. I now know. Now you know how I feel. And this is where we're going to be. You said, T-Pre, either way, we know you ain't going to lose any sleep over this. And you know it. I'm getting tired right now. I'm about to take my ass and finish up this little bit of work I was doing. And I will holler at y'all later. Peace, guys. I do appreciate y'all listening to my little rant in the middle of the night. I'll talk to you guys later.